Welcome to Mexico Unexplained, where we will explore the magic, the mysteries, and the miracles of Mexico. This series presents information based partly on theory and conjecture. The podcaster's purpose is to suggest some possible explanation, but not necessarily the only ones to the subjects we will examine. Here is your host, Robert Bitto.
Welcome and muy bienvenidos to episode number 98 of Mexico Unexplained, where we examine the magic, the mysteries, and the miracles of Mexico. I'm your host, Robert Bitto. The date was November 26, 1985. The space shuttle Atlantis lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, carrying a crew of 7 piloted by shuttle veteran Commander Brewster Shaw. Flying on this mission was Dr. Rodolfo Neri Bella, his role formally classified as Payload Specialist 2. The 33-year-old Neri Bella, who earned his doctorate degree in electromagnetic radiation from the University of Birmingham in 1979, was cheered on by millions of his fellow countrymen on that cold November day. The boy from the medium-sized city of Chilpancingo de los Bravo in the Mexican state of Guerrero had earned his bachelor's degree in mechanical and electrical engineering from Mexico's largest university, UNAM, and had continued his studies in England, where he earned a master's degree in science with an emphasis in telecommunications technology from the University of Essex, and then on to his doctorate at Birmingham. After spending a few years teaching, researching, and publishing, Dr. Neri Bella was approached by NASA, and as part of the crew of the second mission of the Atlantis, he became the first Mexican in space. While on board the shuttle, he conducted experiments having to do with electromagnetism and radiation, and oversaw the deploying of the Morelos II, a communications satellite named in honor of a hero in the Mexican War of Independence, José María Morelos. Dr. Neri Bella is currently an engineering professor at his alma mater, UNAM, and his flight suit from the shuttle mission is proudly on display at the Museum of Technology in Mexico City. While Dr. Neri Bella's accomplishments are numerous, some cast doubts on his biggest claim to fame, that he was the first Mexican in space. Those who subscribe to the theory that a breakaway civilization exists believe that Mexicans have been in outer space for thousands of years, starting with the Olmecs, and more importantly the Maya, whose off-world population is said to be 40 million or more. Before we really get into this, I must remind listeners and viewers of Anthony Taylor's introduction at the beginning of each Mexico Unexplained episode. This series presents information based partly on theory and conjecture. The podcaster's purpose is to suggest some possible explanations, but not necessarily the only ones, to the subjects we will examine. The ideas presented in this show may be considered to be the fringe of the fringe by some, and do not necessarily represent the views and beliefs of the show's host, me, or the sponsors. Please consider this before giving a thumbs down or leaving a nasty comment. So, what is a breakaway civilization? In the mid to late 1990s, the idea of a breakaway civilization existing alongside the one on Earth we all know of and live in began to crop up on the internet and at UFO conferences and in books and articles having to do with outer space and alien contact. Since then, the idea has been fleshed out and has grown incredibly complex to include a tie-in with ancient Mexico. The original idea of a breakaway civilization, as theorized by early writers in the 1990s, such as American author and researcher Richard Dolan, has its starting point with the alleged flying saucer crash just outside of Roswell, New Mexico in July of 1947. From the recovered wreckage, the U.S. military was able to back-engineer the alien technology and create interstellar craft of their own. A fleet of flying saucers under the command of the U.S. military became what is known by the theorists as the secret space program. During the 1950s, there was an intense push to colonize the solar system, and many thousands of people became involved as people were needed to populate bases on the moon, asteroids, and the planets. Space stations throughout the solar system were built, and eventually humans made contact with beings of other races from other solar systems and galaxies. This was all being kept secret by what has been termed recently as the Deep State, or alternatively called by some researchers as the Cabal or even the Illuminati. NASA and other space programs worldwide are fronts or disinformation agencies to distract the public away from what is really going on in space. While considered even by some of the most hardcore UFO and paranormal researchers as a fringe conspiracy theory, the authors, podcasters, and other researchers who subscribe to the ideas of a breakaway civilization and a secret space program cite various types of evidence to back up their claims. Among these pieces of evidence include testimony from alleged whistleblowers from various government agencies, anomalies seen in official space agency photos of places like Mars and the Moon, fragments of documents, testimony of supposed abductees, good hunches, and even channeling. The breakaway civilization explains many mysterious things, such as unaccounted for Pentagon money, rumors of black budgets, and even missing children. In the early days of the breakaway civilization theories, some people believe that the human off-world presence began almost 10 years before the Roswell incident in Nazi Germany, when Hitler built a group of UFOs later termed the Dark Fleet, which had its base in a section of Antarctica called Neuschwabenland. As the idea of the breakaway civilization became more popular, people started to come forward, alleging they had more information, and with that, the story became more complex. What groups did the secret branches of the U.S. government and military have contact with in outer space? Rumors abound that even President Eisenhower had meetings with members of alien races. Things get repeated on the internet, and people theorize about certain parts of the theories, and new supposed whistleblowers come forward, or pieces of old documents make it to the light of day. About a year or so before the supposed end of the Maya calendar in 2012, there was talk on the internet about how the ancient Maya abandoned their cities and took to the stars, either making contact with an alien race or reuniting with their space brothers from the star cluster called the Pleiades. The ancient astronaut Maya connection has been around at least since the 1960s, but the ancient Maya as part of a breakaway civilization that is working alongside or against secret elements of the U.S. military or the Illuminati is a relatively new twist. The stage was set for the Maya in space by a series of YouTube videos which debuted in 2011, in which a supposed Maya elder talked about the Pleiades being the original home of the Maya, and how the old ones would return to Earth to help us reach a higher level of consciousness. The elder explained that the star system revolved around its central sun every 52 years, which corresponds to the Maya calendar round. The calendar also reaches back into the billions of years, the elder also said, because the Maya had a very long history, with most of it not spent on Earth. There were many interesting theories floating around regarding what would happen at the end of the Maya calendar cycle in 2012, and thus the breakaway civilization theorists had more stuff to work with. By 2014, a new alleged insider emerged, an American named Goode, who started communicating with American UFO and paranormal researcher David Wilcock. Goode has claimed that ever since the age of 6, he has been abducted by government operatives of the secret space program and believes that he has been taken aboard alien crafts and has been to secret space program bases in our solar system to work on various projects for the government. Goode's handler, or liaison in his off-world experiences, is a man known to him as Lieutenant Colonel Gonzalez. It was Gonzalez who introduced him to the race of breakaway civilization Maya, who number into the tens of millions and have combined their ancient facility for working in stone with alien technology. The breakaway civilization of the Maya travel around in flying saucers made of highly polished stone and use stone implements much as their ancestors on Earth did. In a long dissertation released to the public on David Wilcock's website in January of 2018, Goode goes into great detail about the spacefaring Maya and his interaction with them through the man known only as Gonzalez. In his dissertation, Goode describes being on the Maya spacecraft and gave some interesting details, even describing the stone control panels as floating instead of being attached to the ship, and being covered in a combination of ancient Maya hieroglyphs and flashing lights. The Maya are considered healers among the members of the supposed Super Federation, which vaguely resembles the Star Trek universe and includes some 60 alien races from various star systems. This group is considered the good guys, who occasionally battle it out with the Draco Empire, which is led by a race of tall, whitish-colored reptilians. In the January 2018 document, Goode describes an encounter between a group of Maya and a high-level prisoner from the Draco Empire, which ended with many Maya dead, along with the reptilian prisoner. The Maya communicated the events to Goode telepathically. Goode was then taken to the Super Federation base near the planet Jupiter and met with a man named Mika, who was also a descendant from a group of people who left ancient Mexico thousands of years ago. Mika was not Maya, but of the smaller Olmec contingent, which had barely survived fighting off the evil Draco Empire on their own post-Earth planet. This may be the only reference yet of Olmecs in space, and nothing is given as to their technology or other achievements while away from Earth. Although much of the information about this topic has come out of the United States, there are a few UFO and paranormal investigators in Mexico who have also studied the Maya breakaway civilization. Before the detailed document written by Goode was released in late 2017, Mexican UFO investigator Antonio Cisneros made a series of videos and blog posts about the off-world Maya. Cisneros, who has cultivated quite a following in Mexico, has tied recent UFO activities around Mexico's volcanoes to the Maya breakaway civilization, and claims that the Maya not only have bases in other star systems, but also have secret underground facilities throughout Mexico. As caverns were sacred to the ancient Maya, it's only logical that part of their civilization went underground, the researcher affirms. According to Cisneros, the Maya are returning to help with the world's problems and walk among us as regular humans who have penetrated such fields as science and medicine to expose modern-day humanity to their advanced forms of technology. They will help us with everything from curing diseases to getting rid of the Pacific Ocean's garbage island. Most of the UFOs seen over Mexico are the Maya returning, and Cisneros agrees with Goode on 2 points: that their spacecraft are not made of metal, but of polished stone, and that the Maya are healers. It's difficult to determine who is corroborating whom, but it appears that Antonio Cisneros brought forth his theories of the off-world Maya before Goode claimed to have had direct experience with them. The ancient Maya have inspired wonder and awe ever since their ruins were discovered by outsiders. Many people across the years have struggled to understand their achievements, how their civilization developed to such an advanced level, and why such a complex society collapsed. Theories are varied and sometimes bizarre. Oftentimes, archaeological theories of collapse are rooted in contemporary visions of doomsday. There is a lot of talk these days from major scientists, such as Stephen Hawking, about abandoning the Earth to save humanity. Perhaps this is being projected onto the Maya, and the breakaway civilization theory reflects what some people think that humans should do in the future. One thing is certain. The more and more people talk about UFOs and the topic of disclosure, the more and more we will hear about the daring group of Maya who took to the stars to abandon their suffering on Earth. Thank you once again for listening to another episode of Mexico Unexplained. Please remember to like and subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter. Tell your friends by sharing these shows with others. Please go to our website, MexicoUnexplained.com, for references, illustrations, and for free access to transcripts of past shows. Please visit Amazon.com to purchase the book Mexico Unexplained to get a hard copy of The Magic, the Mysteries, and the Miracles of Mexico. We appreciate your kind attention once again. Until next time, thank you and gracias.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Mexico Unexplained with host Robert Bitto. For show summary, relevant links and commentary, please check out our website at mexicounexplained.com. Like us on Facebook and be a part of the conversation. Adios and hasta la vista.